Alrighty, everyone. How are we? Oh, come on. We can put a bit more energy into that. How are we, everyone? Fantastic. Alrighty. Mark Twain says there are two significant days of our lives. Number one, the day we're born, and number two, the day we understand why. For me, I was lucky. I found my passion from a really young age, and I made sure I did. A lot of it. Unfortunately, for a lot of young people, that's quite simply not the case. You see, we're told do very well in school and you'll get into university. Do well in university, you'll get a good internship. From internship, we go to junior job to senior job, and the rat race continues. Now, there'd be nothing wrong with that if success in traditional education still correlated to success in the real world. According to a recent report from the Foundation for Young Australians, it's never been harder for young people who finish higher education to find full-time work. In 1986, it took just 1 year for a graduate from a higher education degree to find full-time work. Today, it's 4.7 years. To me, that speaks volumes about the skills mismatch and disconnect between the people who are training our young people and the people who will ultimately be employing them. The unfortunate result is the fact that we have young people just like me and many of you sitting and graduating with certificates, which in many cases are a mere indication of seat time served. So who am I talking to about education? Well, this is me on my first day of preschool, Prep Classroom C with Mrs. Waddingham. I was the ultimate combination of a perfect child for my two Indian parents. I was a nerd. I absolutely loved technology. When people used to ask me, "Hey Taj, what do you want to do when you grow up?" My response was technology. I didn't know in what industry, I didn't know why. All I knew was that the world of technology and electronics made me excited. That was the thing that I wanted to do straight out of school. Unfortunately, during primary school in particular, I struggled. I really, really hated school. I hated it. I hated being in the four walls of the classroom and didn't do very well. By grade 6, I'd racked up around 3 or 4 suspensions, was seeing occupational therapists and speech therapists. Getting any form of school-based engagement out of me was like punching blood out of a stone. Impossible. As I said, I love technology though, and was truly inspired by some really amazing tech entrepreneurs, people like Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg. In reflection though, looking back to my schooling years, it just didn't make sense. I couldn't connect the dots between the things that I was actually learning in the classroom and the things that I thought I needed to know in the real world, and the things that I actually wanted to do to propel me towards my passion, which was technology. As I said, I was inspired by people like Steve Jobs. I'd barely want to wake up for 7 a.m., but I'd be waking up at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning on my own accord to watch people like Steve Jobs launch their products that would one day change the world. So one day I thought, all right, that sounds kind of cool. That's certainly in the industry that I want to enter when I finish school. So I started a tech blog, For Kids by Kids, when I was 11 years old. We were writing reviews and comment new electronics and new technology. It was a really cool opportunity just to, as an 11-year-old, to commentate on my passion, which was electronics and technology. We were making $10 per day, which was just enough to cater for my craving for school tuck shop. And it was my first real taste of the world of entrepreneurship. I then started an organization called 56, and we started with a do-it-yourself tablet kit for kids. It was called the 56 Tablet Kit, and essentially the goal of this item was to give young people the opportunity to create the technology we consume. I was this nerdy 13-year-old Indian kid, and media loved us. Within 2 years, we were on all national TV, from 60 Minutes to Sunrise to the Today Show. Everyone wanted me and a couple of other members of our team on the show. It was awesome. I was 13 at the time and was just hopping along show to show talking about this 56 tablet kit. 2 years passed and we made no real visible progress towards actually executing on this tablet. Anyone who's been involved with computer hardware before knows how difficult creating a new piece of hardware might have been with a small budget. I was 13, my co-founder was 18. So we really didn't have the funds to create this tablet, but we sold thousands of them. People wanted this item. And after 2 years of making no real visible progress, we had one parent in particular who ordered a 56 tablet kit. for their child's 16th birthday. The child had turned 18, moved out of home, and still not received their 56 tablet kit. So we decided to call it quits, refunded these thousands of orders, and decided to start teaching kids about digital literacy. From kids, we started teaching senior Australians, and that organisation went on to work with about 45,000 kids and senior Australians over the last couple of years. I now spend my time running the Australian School of Entrepreneurship, or ASE for short. We teach young people as 5 all the way to 24 about small business and really teaching young people through both online education and face-to-face programs and working with not just rich city kids, but also working with young people in regional communities and communities with above average youth unemployment, teaching them about really important, vital life skills, communication, creativity, financial literacy, skills that will truly prepare young people for the future of work. Now, we hear quite regularly in the media, in the paper, the TV, about the sorts of job industries that will be disrupted by machines. In most cases, this change is probably going to happen with or without our blessing. So, what are the skills of the future? Before I tell you, I thought we'd play the 50 million game. Hands up, has anyone actually played this before? One person. That's exciting. Thanks, Charlotte. All right. Well, I'm going to put a piece of technology on the board and you're going to tell me how long it took to reach 50 million users. Cool? Fantastic. The telephone. How long did it take the telephone to reach 50 million users? Let's go. Scream it out. 20 years, a bit more. 50 years. What about the TV? How long did it take the TV to reach 50 million users? Close, 22 years. What about Facebook? 3 years. Angry Birds? 35 days, very close. Now the last one is the only one people have actually died participating in. Can anyone tell me what the last one might be? Pokemon Go, thank you. It took Pokemon Go just 19 days to reach 50 million users, right? The rate of change is accelerating at a truly unprecedented level. It really is insane. Right now, we are in the very center of a raging tornado of change that's being fueled by digitization, mobilization, augmentation, and automation. We tell our young people that if they study hard for 5, 10, 12 years' time, they'll get a job. But how can we? The innovation economy is completely unpredictable. So today I thought I'd talk about the 3 human skills that I wish I'd learned in the classroom that would have truly prepared me for the future of work. The first one is creativity. In the words of Dr. Seuss, why fit in when you were born to stand out? Simple terms, be a Fruit Loop in a world full of Weet-Bix. Creativity is all about trying new things and experimenting with new ideas. A machine will never be able to create. A machine can't be curious. Creativity really is an innately human skill. Right now in schools, we're teaching every single kid about coding and computer programming. But why? You see, machines right now are quite literally programming themselves. Take one system, for example, DeepCoder, which is an initiative from Microsoft and the University of Cambridge. You put in the end outcome, and this system, DeepCoder, quite literally programs itself. You see, any skill or task that can be simplified down to a series of sequential and logical steps can and will be automated by machines. Coding is one of those skills that will absolutely be automated by machines, just like administration and just like bookkeeping before then. We as human beings should be focusing on skills that we do best. Creativity is one of those skills that we as human beings truly do best. It's an innately human skill. Number 2 is communication. I hated any form of public speaking in school. When we had to do public speaking in school, I just used to nervously tear up. It was a truly uncomfortable experience. When we go into classrooms right now and we ask young people, what is one of the things or a couple of things that you're most scared of? It's not snakes, it's not spiders, it's public speaking. That's really quite scary, right? That young people in the classroom are scared of public speaking. Public speaking in the world of today, and absolutely as we enter the workforce of the future, is a fundamentally important skill. In fact, employers right now are paying, on average, $8,648 more for junior level candidates that have the ability to communicate. That's massive. $8,648 a year more for junior level candidates that can get up and deliver an impromptu presentation. Connection through communication really is, once again, an innately human skill. You can't learn this skill from a textbook, but rather through experimentation. And finally, number 3, financial literacy. This is a really interesting one because if school's all about preparing us for the real world, how much more real is learning about things like taxes, interest rates, compound interest, investments? To me, this is a core skill. Financial literacy is a core skill for every single young person, regardless of career direction or background. Financial literacy is a fundamentally important skill for every single human adult. The data is pretty clear because an increased understanding of the world of money and the economy leads to a more prosperous society. For example, young people who are financially literate generally show, number 1, an increased level of savings and overall financial security. 2, lower levels of bad debt, such as credit card debt and personal loans. And we know right now with buy now and pay later systems, it's never been easier to rack up bad debt. 3, increased asset accumulation, which ultimately leads to a greater net wealth. And finally, number 4, a greater understanding of financial risk. Now, I was a friendly 8-year-old when the global financial crisis happened, but we know one of the very principal reasons for the GFC was many people who had very low levels of financial literacy signed up for subprime loans. In simple terms, subprime loans were the type of loans made to people by banks who had a poor credit score or poor financial history. The sorts of people that probably shouldn't have been able to get a loan in the first place. We know the result, they defaulted on the loans and the GFC happened. But can you imagine if some of these people actually had some form of financial literacy from a really young age? They would have understood the risks involved with signing up for such a huge lifelong commitment without a stable income or job. Financial literacy really is a fundamentally important skill for every single young person. After the GFC, most modern governments created regulation and policies to stop a similar event from happening again. But they missed one key component: education. Educating young people about what had just happened and ensuring that the next generation of young people actually had a holistic understanding of the world of money and the economy. If owning a home is part of our Australian dream, then why aren't we teaching every single young person from a really young age about core financial literacy skills? Instead of filling our days with long division or trying to solve the elusive mystery of what is X, this is when we could be learning core financial literacy skills. So we're teaching these skills at the Australian School of Entrepreneurship: creativity, communication, and financial literacy. But we can't do it alone. So today I'd urge you together as young people, as parents, as educators, as business owners to come together at home over the dinner table, at school at the classroom, or even at work over the boardroom to discuss how do we teach these skills to young people today, and how do we ensure that the next generation of young people really do have the skills they need to thrive, not just survive in the 21st century workforce of the future. With that said, I thought I'd leave you with one of my favorite quotes from another former naughty schoolboy who not only managed to connect the dots, but split them too. He says, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. If we truly want an education revolution, we need fresh, new thinking." Cheers, Einstein, and thank you very much.